News coming in now to substantiate its claims that this particular rocket missile emanated from within Gaza. Israel, the IDF, has now released radar footage proof. They claim that this is proof that missile was fired from within Palestine and then struck the hospital, which has now claimed more than 500 lives. Let me go across to my colleague Aditi, who will take us. We'll come back to Aditi in just a short while, but the images that you see on the left of your screen right now is a part of the radar footage that's now been put out by the Israeli Defense Forces to back their claim that this particular rocket missile that eventually and tragically hit the hospital that killed more than 500 people actually emanated from within the Gaza territory. It was headed for Israel, but it flew in very close proximity to the hospital, striking it eventually and claiming more than 500 lives. That's the radar image that the Israeli Defense Forces have now put out. However, the Palestinians have completely rejected these claims, claiming that this was an attack that emanated from within Israeli territory meant to target the hospital, which Israel speculated might be a base for the Hamas organization. So those are the contradictory claims emanating from both the Israeli and the Palestinian side right now. This has even reached the floor of the United Nations, where the envoy of Palestine to the UN has actually said that Mr. Netanyahu, while accusing Islamic Jihad of waging this particular attack, stands to be completely contradicted. He claims that Mr. Netanyahu is lying. Let me go across to Pranesh for more on this. Pranesh, take us through the radar footage that the IDF has now put out to back its own claim that this particular rocket missile was fired from within Gaza.
This is the third instance of the IDF, putting out their version of what happened at the Al Ahli hospital. Now, let's zoom in and show you the points marked by the IDF. This this red dot that you see, the IDF says this was the launch of the rocket site. And the white dot here is where the Al Ahli hospital has been marked by the IDF. Now, IDF says that this is radar footage. Now, remember, late last night, after the attack on the hospital, the IDF had released a video in which you can see a rocket taking off and then it suddenly fizzles and perhaps lands on the hospital. The IDF says this is the moment of attack. Now, more claims by the IDF in which they say that this is, as per the radar footage, this is the Al Ahli hospital, and they claim that it was the Islamist group who fired this rocket. The rocket was intended to land in Israeli city, but it misfired, landed at the Al Ahli hospital, in which more than 800 casualties are claimed so far. Siddharth.
Right, thanks for taking us through that radar image that the IDF has put out. Pranesh, we do have some guests joining us right now as well. Mr. Daoud Kuttab, Palestinian journalist, is with us, as is Adam Scott Bellos, CEO of Israel Innovation Fund. But first and foremost, coming to you, Mr. Kuttab, what do you make of the Israeli claims and the IDF's claims that this particular rocket missile emanated from within Gazan territory? It was meant to be fired into Israel, but it misfired and struck a hospital instead. Mr. Netanyahu has also said that this was a missile that was fired by the terrorist group Islamic Jihad. What do you make of these claims coming from the Israeli side, sir?
Well, I am sorry to say that it seemed to have been fallen for the Israeli propaganda. And unfortunately, even your own station has a permanent site saying India is with Israel. India should be with the truth, with the Palestinians, with the victims, not with Israel. Israel is the one who attacked. Hours before, they sent a message to the hospital to evacuate because they were planning to attack it because they claimed there were some Hamas injured people in the hospital. This is you're totally being taken over by the lies of the...
Mr. Kuttab, if I could just rebut you for a moment. We said we stand in solidarity with Israel because we categorically believe and we say that what happened to those Israeli citizens on the 7th of October was nothing short of a terror attack. And it is against this terror attack that we stand in solidarity with Israel. We're reaching out to you for your perspective, sir, on this latest attack on a hospital where the Israelis claim that this was an attack on the part of Islamic Jihad. Now, you have a contradictory opinion on this. How would you rebut these claims being made by Israel? And what is the proof that the Palestinians can also provide to substantiate their own claim that this was an Israeli attack on a Gazan hospital, sir?
I'm not going to change my position. I'm just telling you the truth. The Israelis said there was beheading of children. They told that to Joe Biden, and then he had to retract. They said there was rape, and there was no rape. Israel keeps lying. You're buying their lies. They put up a map and your own people are trying to use their Israeli map to prove that the fact that a hospital was hit. This is not journalism. You're playing in the propaganda of Israel, and I'm sorry to even have agreed to participate in this game.
Mr. Kuttab, we would not have reached out to
India with Israel.
We would not have reached out to you, Mr. Kuttab, if we just wanted to show one side of the story. We reached out to you to get your perspective, a Palestinian perspective on what's happening on the ground, with due respect, sir. And we always, when we put out a particular claim, we put it attributing to a particular source. In this specific instance, we categorically said that this is an Israeli claim, and we reached out to you to rebut that particular claim, sir. So I don't think your claim that we are taking one side in this particular matter really holds ground. Let me in fact go across to Mr. Adam Scott Bellos for more on this. Mr. Bellos, you did hear that interaction with the Palestinian journalist. He of course is not willing to believe any Israeli claim in this matter that this particular missile emanated from Gaza. We asked him for his perspective to prove that this was actually an Israeli attack, but he chose not to answer our questions. What do you make of the fact that the Palestinians are claiming that Mr. Netanyahu is lying in this specific instance? They also point towards an Israeli digital spokesperson putting out a tweet that this particular hospital had been targeted and then deleting that tweet shortly after. What do you make of these claims?
Wait, did the other gentleman just get kicked off?
He chose to leave voluntarily, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure of what I just saw. So obviously since 2005 and really since 1987 and before that, since 1967, we've been used to what is referred to as Pallywood, the use of the magic of television, the magic of editing to make things appear as if they are not. As you know, many times Gazan and Palestinian propaganda is filmed in fake areas to make it look like humanitarian disasters. And in the background, you can usually see people walking around, lounging, smoking a cigarette, carrying fake stretchers. There's been clips like this circulating around not only the internet, but if you look at memory, has been very good at finding evidences of Pallywood. Obviously, what is going on here is the deterioration of the Palestinian media and propaganda machine, okay, ever since the 7th of October. It is understandable that many people would have thought that Israel could have been responsible for this, as Israel has hit hospitals before, both on purpose and by accident, usually because terrorists are firing rockets out of hospitals or they're using hospitals as weapon caches. Now, in this instance, the entire world, before we knew what happened, went to condemn Israel. And of course, we were able, after a certain amount of time, when it was safe, to provide intelligence showing that Islamic Jihad or Palestinian Hamas was responsible for this. I believe they're saying Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Yes. And if you remember, since 2005, there have been a number of misfired rockets where humanitarian events have been caused, where humanitarian crises have been caused, where children have been killed. Yesterday, I was on CNN News 18 India, where Israel was being accused of creating a humanitarian crisis and losing the PR war because of what had happened with this hospital. And we did not know what had happened yet. 20 minutes later, the IDF had released the information showing the misfire. It's very important to understand how long this has been going on, how long the propaganda war has been going on.